All right, so we are here with Sam Spade Morris from the Midnight Devils. How you doing, Sam?
Sam, you know what? I'm doing great, man. It's amazing to talk to you. It's amazing to be on the show. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming on. So you guys just got done with the Glam Slam Metal Jam tour. I'm surprised I said that in one take. With Enough's Enough and Pretty Boy Floyd in June. Did you guys have any say in the name of that tour first of all? Because that sounds like you guys.
We didn't actually. It was all Chip. Apparently, Chip's been using that for quite a while, and he was the one that kind of coined the term. And then we ran with it, and I did all the flyers and stuff for that. But it was mostly Chip. But we've been using kind of that tagline for a while too, so it,
Yeah,
it really fit in perfectly.
perfect. So were you guys excited that when you heard that was the name of the tour?
Yeah, I was like, what? I'm like, did he borrow that from us? And then Jimmy's like, no, man, he's been using it forever. I'm like, okay. So it was perfect. And I really think that it encapsulated exactly what that tour was, which was excitement. We were all traveling together. It was us and Pretty Boy Floyd in the van, and then Enough's Enough. And it was really one of the most exciting tours that we've been on. People were excited to see us. And the Floyd hadn't been out on the East Coast for a while. So, man, people were coming out, and it's good. We continue again in late October or October. We go through Texas and Florida.
Absolutely. So you'd say that tour went well for you guys. How was the reaction to your guys' set that you got? Because you definitely probably made some new fans along the way.
It was perfect. Yes, you're totally right. Being on tour with those guys, we know kind of we've been on tour with Pretty Boy Floyd before. We all have done a ton of shows with Enough's Enough, so we kind of knew what the crowd was going to be like. The first night of the tour, man, it was Columbus, Ohio, 400 people through the door. You know, the place was just packed. So I'm like, man, this is awesome. We got the album for sale, and it was like we got to be this warm up act for two of the greats, two of the legends, and that really it brought a lot of energy and a spark, and I hadn't seen that spark in those guys in a long time, so it was really cool.
So it looks like you have a little bit of downtime from touring a bit. What are you doing to kind of decompress, after being on the road?
Easier said than done. I haven't figured it out yet. I've been working. Well, we got so much stuff going down with the new record being out. The
Yeah.
excitement level's high that I just kind of I'm like, man, I don't need to relax. Let's capitalize on this momentum that we have. So it's like a once in a lifetime thing, especially with Highway 69, the single kind of doing big numbers, bigger numbers than we expected. Everybody's excited. Everybody's happy. Everybody's positive moving forward. So I'm like, we don't need to rest. Even though we're not on the road, man, we're working every day, hustling, selling CDs and packing up stuff, shipping them out, and getting ready because the next big thing is Rocklahoma coming down the pike the first week of September. So we got to kind of have everything ready to roll by September.
And yeah, that's what I was gonna actually bring up next. You guys are playing with like Five Finger Death Punch, Megadeth, Ice Nine Kills, like Black Veil Brides. That's got to be pretty cool for you guys. Talk a little bit about that coming up.
Rocklahoma is one of our all-time. It's where we met. To be honest with you, like we have a long history of playing Rocklahoma. It was always just this huge goal of mine because it's so close to Nebraska that you get a lot of a lot of feed, a lot of people talking about Rocklahoma. And when we went down there initially, man, it was like the first time the band had been together. Our first tours together, we met Jimmy down there, and it's 50,000 people, 50,000 of your closest rock and roll friends in a giant field for 3 days. I mean, it's just, mayhem ensues. And I love Rocklahoma. It's been so good to us. It's really like, I kind of think of it as our home. We played it 5 or 6 times. But the crazy thing is that we did Rockfest up in Wisconsin, which is kind of the same idea. And man, it was just as cool. Like right in the middle of the field, we're playing with Avatar. We're playing with Dead. We're all these really cool modern metal bands, and we fit right in. It was amazing, It's kind of cool to see a glam band playing on a modern metal festival.
Yeah, for sure. So before we get into Never Beg for It, we're gonna like rush through all the, beginning stuff, early stuff. So how did
Sure.
you get started as a musician? Because from Nebraska, I don't know, how's the music scene out in Nebraska for you guys?
Nebraska's an interesting place. I love Nebraska. I'm proud as hell to be from here. It's easy. Everything's really easy. Everything's really laid back. And we're centrally located. So that was always kind of our goal, man. Like it only takes us a day to get to LA or a day to get to New York. It's easy for us to travel. Uh, but the music scene isn't, there's a lot of very closed minded, straight laced, by the book people in Nebraska. So to be a glam rock band in this city, in this state, we're one. We're one. Nobody else is doing it, and so we kind of get looked at like we're the stepchildren of the group, you know. But that being said, man, it's we started we started this band years ago. It's been great. My first experience with rock and roll was I heard Detroit Rock City in my small little town. Some kid brought in a CD, Detroit Rock City, boom, changed the whole thing. I found Kiss, and it was like a whole nother world opened up for me.
So is Kiss part of the reason why you guys do, face paint and all that? Is that definitely just part of the inspiration?
It wasn't necessarily the inspiration. I'd always kind of taken like I wanted to do something very theatrical as my onstage persona. My you almost take what you have as your daily look or your daily feeling, and you amplify it by like 1,000. And that's kind of where our look came from. And Jimmy Mess and I just sit here and see how far we can push the envelope. Our drummer Jimmy Mess is just like, what can we get away with wearing? Can we wear a prom dress on stage? Yes, done. Can we wear like a brassiere on stage? Yes, done. But it's really what it is. It's a creative freedom, and it's this expression that I love and I really cherish with the Midnight Devils, especially, is that we're so open, and we encourage our fans to be so open, you know, whether it be artistically, sexually, whatever it is, it's freedom to do what you want and to make it your own. And that's really what we push and what we feel when we get up on stage, because, you know, it's not like we just walk up on stage. It's this whole process of getting dressed and putting on a show, the theatrics that came from guys like Alice Cooper, Sweet, you know, David Bowie, and Kiss. Yes, absolutely.
So, and like you said, yeah, Nebraska is a very closed-minded place musically and all that. So, can you go a little bit more in depth about, how you're viewed there? Is it just, have you kind of turned it around now? They're starting to accept you, or is it still, closed down?
It's still like we still work on it. We don't play very many shows in our home state,
Yeah.
but when we do, they're incredible, right? So there's this one we played a couple weeks ago, this tiny town in Nebraska, uh, and they bring in original bands, and they do a festival in the middle of the street, and 1,000 people come out to this festival to watch original music from Nebraska. I'm telling you, man, this is the coolest thing, the coolest shows you've ever seen. The kids are in the streets screaming, their hair's spray painted pink and green, like they got the devil horns on. I'm like, this is so cool. This wouldn't happen anywhere else. I love this, and this is my home state. So yeah, I definitely think we push the envelope and push that you know that closed mindedness. You got to shut that off and focus on that positivity and the creating of something unique and something special and something individual. Where rock and roll in Nebraska, I think people are very I mean, it's the same everywhere. You don't see a whole lot of bands standing on stage wearing pink lipstick and glitter. So it's really like, man, we're one of thousands, and we just got to keep pushing that. And I think it's turning around. I can see it. You know, the fans dress up, the people in the audience dress up. They want to make it look good and they want to feel good. And that's what this band is initially all about.
So now we're gonna get into Never Beg for It. July
Sure.
1st, you've had about a month now with it out. How have the reactions been that you've seen so far?
The reactions have been above and beyond anything that we had expected. We knew that we had a good record. We knew that the production was good. We had, you know, Chips Enough produced it. We had Chris Steinmetz from Stonecutter Studios in Chicago mix and master. So we had like the best of the best. And Chris was the guy that he engineered Kiss's Revenge record. So we're like, man, we know that it's going to sonically sound good. Now, will the song stand up? What will the fans think? What will people think? And everybody loves it, dude. Everybody is just out there going, this is great, this sounds awesome, the songs are tight. And even in a live setting, the songs translate well live. Everybody loves it. And we've been selling you know, shipping CDs like crazy all over the world, not just here in the States, but man, they're going out to the UK, to Ireland, to Japan. All these CDs going out, and it's cool. It's an exciting time. I've never had like kind of a record, a successful record before. So this is very,
All right. So, anyways, yes, you've never had a successful record before, really.
yeah, never
Carry
a
on.
successful record. And this one seems to be pushing us in the right direction. And what we set out to do is make a better record than we did the one before, and we're there.
So, talk a little bit about working with Chip as a producer.
Chip is a guy that I respect almost more than anyone. A guy that's been there and done it. He had, he sold a ton of records in the 80s. He's got 30 records under the Enough's Enough flag. Like, the dude's been there, done it. He's traveled the world. So he knows what sounds good, right? So I put my full trust and faith in him. We walked in with 10 songs, and he sits there. He's got like these velvet couches, right, at his house in Blue Island, Illinois. He sits there with a joint. He's like, play the record for me, bro. Play the demos. I want to hear them. And we play the songs. And he goes, those are brilliant. Let's do it. Let's record the tracks. And we got to work. And that's what we did, is we sat there for. He's like, Jimmy, don't play any fills on the record. Just play it straight through, not one fill. And I'm like, this guy is crazy. You're not going to play one drum fill? And then we listened to the playback, and I'm like, how did he know? It's brilliant. Like, the guy knows what he's doing. So we just, like, anything that he does, he says, we take it in like we're sponges. We soak up that wisdom. And really, because Chip's done it, we look up to him, and we appreciate all the help he's done, all the help he's given us. Like, the dude's, they call him the mayor of Glamtown for a reason. Like, he is everybody loves him. Nobody has anything bad to say about him. Great songwriter, and he knows what he's doing.
How long have you been crafting that Chip's Enough impression?
A long time. I do it all the time. I do it without even. But it's like, we'll sit there, and everybody does it. Everybody has a Chip's Enough impression. Everybody in the whole tour party. This is the cool thing, is like, the album title itself. So we're sitting in Chip's house in the studio, and we're talking about girls, and we're talking about rock and roll and all this stuff. And he's like, bro, I got to give you a piece of advice. You got a new record coming out. You got a national tour. We're going overseas. You never beg for it. I'm like, that's the title of the album right there. Chip's Enough. Chip's Enough coined the term of the album, and he does. It's just stuff like that. Like, after, we'll go out to dinner on the nights off of the tour, when the whole tour party will come out, and we'll sit there at dinner, and it's like people just flock to our table. Like, just people you don't even know. We're in some strange city. People are flocking to our table, like, Chip's Enough's here. Oh my gosh. And he'll sit there, and they'll smoke a joint right at the middle of the bar, and nobody will say a damn thing. It's a thing of beauty.
He does stand out in a crowd of people.
But he is the best. And like, we went to strip clubs together. We just do all this cool stuff, and Chip and I really get along as kind of the leaders of our band, the frontmen of our band. Chip and I really kind of have that camaraderie going on.
So how did the connection with him start? How did you first meet Chip?
Our drummer, Jimmy Mess, actually lived with Chip for a long time, probably a couple of years, if you can even imagine. I know you don't know Jimmy, but they call him Jimmy Mess for a reason. The guy is he is rock and roll incarnate, like the whirling tidal wave of filth and trash and beautiful, incredible, just dirtiness. Jimmy Mess and Chip, they all lived together. And then when we started the band, since Chip, Enough's Enough's out of Chicago, it just made sense that we would start doing shows together. And we would open for them all the time, whether it be in Chicago or anywhere in the Midwest. And we got to be friends with all the guys in the band. So it's just like a no-brainer that the Midnight Devils open for Enough's Enough almost, whenever we're out. And
yeah,
inevitably Chip's like, I want to do a record, man. I want to do your guys' next record. I think it's really exciting. I love what you got going on. It's new. It's exciting. It's punk rock. It's glam. It's metal. It's this guitar virtuosity. I love it. Let's do it. And I was like, I think it's the best idea we could have had. Is really having him do it and really take our songs and kind of mold them into something that has this Midwest, this Chicago sound, where it's very like REO Speedwagon, like you can hear it in there, Cheap Trick, all these great bands that came out of Chicago. It's right there on the record.
Yeah. So I don't know how to really phrase this, but like I've noticed the word improvement sounds mean, but I've definitely noticed there was an improvement from something bigger to Never Beg for It. Do you feel the same way?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I think about that all the time. Something bigger was great in the fact that it was our first step out into the world. We didn't know how to make a record ourselves. We didn't even know where to start. We learned it all through that trial and error. And when I listen back to Something Bigger, I go, the songs are there. The production and the crafting of the songs isn't what we wanted. Like, it isn't what you want, like the best that we could
Yeah.
do. I look back and I think, man, they're great. They're there. And in the live setting, they sound still really good. But on that record, it's just wasn't what we wanted it to be. And so we really stepped it up and amped up our game for this next one and said, we can't have that. We've learned from that. We got to take another step forward and push ourselves, push our boundaries, push everything that we have. We got the big producer. We got the big guy that's going to be mixing and mastering. We got signed to Pavement Entertainment. Like, we can't deliver anything less than the absolute best.
Yeah. So where did you have 10 original songs? Where did Working for the Weekend come in the process of all this?
Awesome story on this. Awesome story. Same thing. We're sitting on the velvet couches. The joint's lit. It's like the joint's like this long, And he's like, I like the songs, bro, but the record company want to cover for the first single. I'm like, oh, okay, Chip. He goes, come back tomorrow and have a cover ready to go for the first single. And we're thinking, like, what are we gonna do for a cover for the first single? Like, this is what everybody's gonna base the entire record off of, is the first single, the first video, the cover. And we had no idea what we were gonna do. We were driving around Chicago and we're flipping through the radio. It was like FM radio even. We're flipping through the radio, stop at the hot dog stand, and Working for the Weekend comes on, just full blast. And I'm like, that's it, dude. That's the one we got to do. It's perfect. It's funny. It fits in, and everybody knows that song. Everybody loves that song. We brought it in, and Chip's like, love it. Let's do it.
So by have a cover ready, it was just have one that you're gonna do. I was worried that Chip was gonna have you guys like record it all in a day without him, and then we'll see how it goes.
No,
it was just have it picked out.
He was there for the whole thing. He loved it. He thought it was a great idea, and he's already planning the next cover for the next record. He's like, I already know what I want to do for the next record, bro. I got you guys. I'm like, okay, cool. This is awesome.
So how long were you working on the songs that were eventually all put on to Never Beg for It? Did it start like before pandemic, or was it?
We had just joined. So imagine back to, it's weird to say, imagine 2 years ago, back to March of 2020. We had landed our dream tour opening for the Choir Boys, right? So it just came about real sudden, and they go, you're going to be on the road with the Choir Boys for a month. And I'm like, awesome, this is great. I kind of quit my job, and we got in the van and started going. We knew that we were going to have to write this record in hotel rooms, or we were going to have to write this record on the road. Then the pandemic hit in the middle of that tour, and this sent us all home. So everybody's depressed. You don't know what to do. And I kind of was like, we have to, Sniper was our guitar player. I go, this is a sign from the universe that we have to sit down and write this record. Nobody's doing anything. Let's use this time to do something, and do something very positive and creative. So we, over the pandemic, sat in Sniper's basement and crafted these songs. We took them to a studio and did a demo with like a session drummer, and then sent all those demos to Chicago, where they learned them all and got them ready for us to make the big trip to Chicago. So it had been a process of maybe, I want to say, a year, a little bit under a year of working on those songs during the pandemic, during when everything was going down.
So it sounds like for a younger band, you'd think that a lockdown would be, the nail in the coffin or something.
Yeah.
It sounds like you guys are maybe better for that happening.
I'm really thankful that it happened. It was difficult. Somebody told me, I was talking to a lot of people that were going through this, and people were doing like the live stream videos and everything like that. We didn't really get to do any of that stuff, but they go, you know what? All the bands are on the same level. What the pandemic did is it pushed everybody home to where we were on the same level as, say, Kiss. We weren't doing anything. Nobody was doing anything, but you had this captive audience on their phones, on the internet, that were starved for attention. And so what he said is, he goes, keep posting every day, engaging your fans, keep posting, because someday we're going to come out of this lockdown, and we're going to pick back up, and you want to have those fans there. So I said, oh, okay, I get that. It was difficult to do, to keep posting and keep doing stuff and keep creating, even when you had no feedback and no sense of urgency or sense of time. So yeah, it was great for us. I loved it. Even though we weren't doing shows, it gave us that opportunity to kind of really dive into our creative selves and bring 10 great songs to the surface.
So would you say the lockdown maybe made you guys different as like songwriters too? Do you think that that impacted any of it because you guys could all be together? Well, not all because Chicago,
Yeah,
but do you think that made it any different there as well?
I don't think so. What it did is it took the pressure off of us, took the pressure off our backs of doing the live shows and doing touring. So it
Yeah.
gave us that. What it gave us is that freedom, that clear-headed thinking, that freedom to just like go and sit in a basement for a couple hours and work these songs out, keep knocking these songs out, sit on the couch, and we just would write songs and craft what would be the Never Beg For It record. Really, it just was that mental clarity.
And so now we have, what month are we even in? I don't know. August. We're
August, yeah.
yes. Oh God, time is terrible. But anyway, so you have Rocklahoma coming up, obviously, and then after that, what are you guys' plans?
After that, we go to, we're making the big trip back to LA. We're going to be opening for Pretty Boy Floyd at the Whiskey Go Go on September 23rd. Then we do Vampton, Vegas with Pretty Boy Floyd on the 24th of September. And then the second leg of the Glam Slam Metal Jam starts in October with Pretty Boy Floyd and Enough's Enough. And then we are shipping off overseas in late October to do we're doing like a big run in Europe with Enough's Enough in October through November. And that's like our whole year put together.
And so then afterwards, do you guys have any plans once you get home of, I mean, you've just released an album, so there might need
Yep.
to be some downtime. Do you have any plans of, starting to write again and record or anything?
Yep, we talked about it already. So we should get home a little bit after Thanksgiving. So we're going to take, normally we take all of the winter off because in the Midwest, it's so difficult to travel. Nobody even wants to leave their house. It's so cold. So we just don't even do it. So we'll write the new record, starting in December all the way through March. And I think whether we have singles or videos, we'll start pushing out those songs to keep that momentum going, to keep that excitement built. If we got something good, something incredible with Never Beg For It, I just think that the next one's going to be another step in that right direction.
So what do you feel you need to do to, I don't know if you want to top Never Beg For It, but to follow it up and not disappoint? What do you feel you guys have to do?
That's a great question. Nobody's ever asked me that before. Way to put me under the gun. I really think that it's all about those songwritings and those the catchy hooks, the huge hooks, and
Yes.
writing those anthem style rock and roll songs that I don't think necessarily a whole lot of bands are writing like this. There's modern metal bands and there's throwback metal bands, but there's nothing kind of in this vein that I see coming down the pike. So I think if we keep going the way we're going, writing huge hooks with songs that are very relatable, songs that anybody, I write the songs based on what my experiences, what happened to me on the road, girls dating, anything like that we write about and we put it down on this record. And I think that's what connects us to the people listening and really ties us in to that people. So my goal is to be more open and more forthcoming, more accessible, just for everybody that's listening. There's a whole new art of, I think there's a cool thing coming of bands putting out records and great music, great like great packaging and artwork that's kind of lost. So I really want to keep exploring that. Like we're gonna have a vinyl 12-inch come out for Highway 69 and Working for the Weekend. It's like an etched, so it's two songs on one side and then a Midnight Devil's etched piece of art on the other side. And I think that's incredible and super exciting because nobody's doing that stuff anymore.
Yeah, for sure. So I don't know if you can say or want to say or will say, but are you gonna have Chip again produce the third record? Or are you planning
Yeah,
on it?
I think we're planning on it as of right now. Chip and I have already talked about it, and I think it's really a no-brainer. The success of this record alone, I think, can only be we can push it farther. That same recipe for disaster, man. It's just perfect. We get along so well, and now it's like we kind of took a little pressure off ourselves because we didn't know if we could actually do this. We didn't know if we could make Never Beg For It happen. Now that we know, like the world is wide open and the sky's the limit. Being under that Pavement label, having artists worldwide as our booking agent, like there's all these really cool things happening that we just got to keep pushing, no matter how difficult it is, no matter how stressed out you get. It's not easy. None of this is easy, but
Yeah.
you can kind of see little glimpses of light at the end of the tunnel, and we just keep pushing towards that light.
Absolutely. And with that, I will thank you. But first, I'm going to ask if there's anything else we haven't talked about that you want to get out there.
I think you got it all, Sam. Like, I really appreciate it. You can go to our website, themidnightdevils.com. All of our like our merchandise is on there, our t-shirts, CDs, this album, Never Beg for It. You can go on there, and it's still very, very punk rock, still very, very DIY, where I'm shipping the CDs from my apartment to your doorstep. Like, I'm doing it with love because I love doing this, because I love rock and roll and I love this band. So anything that is bought goes directly to support the tours, to support the upcoming record, everything like that. So check out themidnightdevils.com. Highway 69 is the single that's kind of been taking the world by storm, and we've getting a lot of action on it. And that's a really cool, exciting thing.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you so much, Sam, for your time.
Yeah, thank you, Sam. I appreciate it.